Hey guys, welcome to the second part on our introduction to Mercurial. So in this second video, we're going to explore the different branching options that we have and can use in Mercurial. So if you want to push different part of the code in different branch and merge everything at the end, that's exactly what you want to use. So we'll explore that, and we'll also see the different file manipulation that we can use directly inside of Mercurial instead of using the file system. And then we'll take a look at the tag system of Mercurial so that we can tag some change set and have a quick and easy reference to a specific change set later. Then we'll take a look at the cloning option of Mercurial so that we can clone a repo to a network drive so that other user could collaborate in the same pipeline using the same repo. So we'll see then how we can have multiple user pushing some change set to the same repo so that we can all merge all those change together at the end of the day. To simulate our multi-user setup, what I've done is I've just created two virtual machines, and those two virtual machines will have, the only thing that will have in common is a share folder. So that will act as a network drive that you would be normally reading using two different computers. Okay, so now let's take a look at the branching option that we have inside Mercurial. Because if we take a look in the graph here, we see that everything that we've been pushing has been pushed into the default branch, and everything is pretty much in a linear fashion. But sometimes when you'll be developing new tool, you don't necessarily want to push them in the main branch that everyone will be using. You want to start a new branch, and in parallel to what you're still doing in the default branch, you'll want to implement new code that at the end, when everything will be working and ready for production, you will want to merge it back in the main branch. So let's see how we can do that with Mercurial. So we'll just go back in PyCharm and delete for now our two test file. We'll just delete that. So let's say that we want to implement a new tool that is not yet ready for production. So I've just downloaded one plugin from Nukepedia. So I'll go in my download folder, and I'll take the W-Hotbox. And basically what we need to install this is just copy those two files in our repo. So we'll copy this like that, and we'll go back in our Python, copy those two files, and we'll also copy the icon folder that was part of this download. So we'll just go back once again in the download, go in W-Hotbox and copy the icon folder and put it right in our Nuke folder. So let's take a look at how to install this plugin. So once again, if we take a look in the download, there's an installation guide. So basically we just need to import the two modules. So I'll copy this like that, and inside menu.py I'll paste this like that. So now we'll just launch Nuke to see if everything is working. So we'll launch Nuke. Okay, so let's try to see if the plugin is working. So I'll just click on the shortcut, and you see that we have now the W-Hotbox working. So now that we know it's working, let's push that in Mercurial. So we'll close Nuke for now. We'll also close this text file. And just to make sure that we keep it, I'll also copy the user guide of it. So I'll put it directly next after the py file. So now we have also the PDF. So going back in Mercurial, we'll refresh everything, and you see that Mercurial had detected all the files that we want to track. So we have all the PNG, we have the actual py file, some PYC. Since the py has been executed, it generated the PYC file. We have the PDF. So first, let's say that we don't want to track anything that is PYC. So we'll just go back in your file, and we'll add star.pyc. So now if we refresh here, we don't see any PYC. So we'll do the same for the PDF. We want it, but we don't necessarily want to track it. So PDF, refresh. So you see the guide has been removed. So, and let's also remove anything that is .ds store. That's not the kind of file we want to track. So we'll just put .ds underscore store. So refresh. Cool. So let's add all the other file. So select everything, right click and click on add. And we'll select everything. And then we'll put a new comment. So added hotbox. But this time we don't want to push it in the default branch. Instead, what we'll change is that we'll create a new branch that will be pushing this new code into it. So if we click here in the branching option, you see that we can change the current branch that we want to push. So we'll open a new name branch. Let's call this one beta. Click on OK. So now we're telling Mercurial that we don't want to push in the default branch, but instead create a new branch that will be pushing our code. So now we can commit, and Mercurial is asking to create the branch beta. We're just confirming that. So we'll create the branch. So it's pushing everything. And you see that what we just pushed now is not in the default branch, but in the beta. So you can see it here. And also here in the branching, we see that we've pushed everything in a branch called beta. So now let's say that we need to fix something in the default branch that's currently in production. So, but we're not yet ready to push beta in the default branch. So what we'll do is go back in the default, update back to the state. So we'll update. So you see that we've moved back in the branching to the previous state. So if we go back here, you see that everything related to the W hotbox has been removed because we went back in time where we didn't have added this file yet. The only thing that you see is the PDF that is still there because we have told Mercurial to not take care of this file. So the file will be staying there unless we tell Mercurial to do something with it. But by default, if we're not tracking anything, Mercurial will leave everything as it is. So let's say now that in production, we need to maybe in the menu init.py add something, or maybe let's say we want to change the default value of the blur that we had changed before. So let's say that for production's sake, we need to change it to 100. So we'll make the modification here, go back, refresh. And if we take a look at the working directory, we see that our init has been flagged as modified. And you can see here that this has been changed to the new value. So we'll go back here and put a quick comment. So modified default blur to 100 and commit that. So now we're committing in the default branch. So we'll commit this. So you see now that everything is back in the default branch, and we have our beta branch in parallel to our default branch. So everything is working now in the default branch. So let's go update back here to the beta. We'll update everything. You'll see our file will be coming back. So I click, you see the hotbox manager has been brought back in our file structure. So now that we're back in the beta branch, let's say now that there's a request to modify the gizmo, that our test gizmo. So let's say that we need to add a few knobs to control the gizmo, but again, it's not something ready for production. So we'll push that in the beta branch. So we'll just open new to modify our gizmo. So we'll click on the starter. So let's bring back our test gizmo, and we'll just copy to group to modify it. So let's just say that we need to add a few knob to our gizmo. So we'll just manage user knob. We'll pick a random knob. So let's just say that need to bring the lifetime and pick another one in the another transform. Say we need the translate of this one. Okay. So now we've modified our gizmo. So we'll export it back as a gizmo. So we'll just overwrite our test gizmo, click on save, overwrite. So now we can close Nuke. Just close that. So again, going back in our working directory, we'll refresh and we see that Mercurial has detected that we've changed and added a few knobs in our gizmo. So I'll come here and let's say now this need to be pushed in the beta. So make sure you're in the pushing to the beta branch. So we'll just put added knobs to test gizmo and comment that. Okay, so now let's say that we're ready to merge everything together. So in the beta, we've added the hotbox and also modify our gizmo. And in the default branch that is currently in production, we've modified the default value of the blur. So now let's say that we want to merge everything back in the default branch so that everything can be used together. So what we'll do is make sure to be on our working directory and we'll update to the branch that we want to merge into. So I'll update to my default branch, update. So now I'm at the latest push of the default branch, and then I will select the change set that I want to merge in my default branch. So I'll select the latest beta, right click, and then you have the merge with local. So I'll select that, and you see this window here that is explaining what is going to happen. So it's preparing to merge what is currently, we have just clicked, so the added knobs gizmo change set, the one we just click here, and I want to merge with the working directory, which is currently in the default branch. So we'll click next. So now you see Mercurial is merging everything, and we'll click on next 1x again, and then it's giving us a default message for the commit message. So we'll just leave merge with beta, and we'll commit now. So now if we click on finish, you see that in the branching here, everything has been merged together in the default branch. So if we check what happened in our PyCharm, we have the w_hotbox py that it's there. We've also our gizmo that we've added the two knobs in the gizmo to be shown, and also in the init.py we have our latest change set to 100. So now if we start Nuke, once again we should have all the changes that we've made. So we should have our modified gizmo with the added knob, and also we should now have the w_hotbox that we've added. So if we call our gizmo, here we see we have all the knobs. If we make a blur, the default value is 100, and we should have the w_hotbox working. So that's how you can manage multiple branching. So you can push everything in a branch. When you want to explore some new code possibility, you start a new branch where you push some code. And at the end of the day, when everything is ready to be used together, you can merge it back so that all the code are merged together. And from there, if we just close Nuke, so now you can start to push all your change set again in the default. And when you're ready to start a new branch, you just make sure to change, tell Mercurial that you want to push something in the branch here, so you could restart the beta branching once again and start to push in beta, or you can push a new branch, so you can have as many branch as you want. So if you really want to push certain code in a particular branch, you can create as many branch as you want. Now, another important thing to keep in mind is when you want to either rename, delete a file from your file system, it's better to do it using the context menu that Mercurial is offering you. So let me give you a quick example. So let's say that we delete the test gizmo and do a quick refresh. You see that here Mercurial is telling us that there's a problem with this file and it doesn't find it anymore. So now we need to tell Mercurial what to do. So instead, what we could do is, if I just bring back the file, so just undo the delete, do a refresh. So what you could do is right click on the file, and by using the context menu of TurtleHG, we have various options here that will pretty much do the same thing, but at the same time will tell Mercurial what happened with this file. So instead here, if I click remove file, you'll see that we have this confirmation box that is telling us that okay, what do you want to do with this file? Are you sure you want to remove it? So we'll click remove. So now you've seen that the file disappeared from the file system, but if we click on refresh here, you see that instead of having an eye to tell that, or exclamation mark telling us that there's a problem, you see that Mercurial already know that the test gizmo file is marked as being removed. So Mercurial will stop to search for this file. So the same thing is true for a rename. So let's say we take the init here and we do a rename. So we'll just name this one underscore init, like that. So now if we refresh, you see that Mercurial detected that the init.py file is no longer on the file system, so it's looking for this file and marking that there's a problem with this file. And it also detected that there's a new file called underscore init.py, and it's asking us what to do with this file. So Mercurial doesn't know that it's the same file that we just renamed. So instead, what we'll do is I'll just rename to the original name, so init.py. We'll refresh, and instead we'll right click on the init.py, go in the menu of TurtleHG, and then we have rename file and the source, and let's say we'll want to remove it to underscore init.py, rename. So we've renamed our file here, and if we refresh everything, you see that init.py was marked as being removed, and the underscore init.py was added to the repo. So by doing the contextual menu of TurtleHG, you see that Mercurial has taken care of everything in terms of naming. So it already marked the init.py as removed and added already the new underscore init.py. So try to use as much as possible when doing file renaming or deletion. Try to use everything that you have here in the contextual menu, so that you won't have to do various action inside Mercurial to tell it what happened with all those files. Okay, so now let's take a look at the tag system that we have inside Mercurial. So with tags, you can use them to organize a bit your change set, or you can also use them in conjunction with other applications to update to a specific change set when starting an application, for instance. So if we take a look in the description here in the Mercurial repo, you see that we already have some tag for us. So by default, there's always this tip tag that is always on the latest push that we have inside the repo. And we also see in green some tag, which are in this case the name of the branch. So you'll have also a tag for the latest change set of each branch. And let's just open a quick command prompt. So just open command prompt, and we'll go inside our repo. So just go at the root the drive. So we'll go in user, and then our user, and then let's go in the nuke folder and inside our repo, which is in the Python folder. So now if I call the hg command, we're inside our repo. So there's a few command that we can use. For example, hd sum, which give you the latest info of the last change that we have. We can use something like hgist for hg history. So you'll see a list of all the latest change set, and you can continue to see it as we press enter. But what I want to show you is how you can use the shell to update to a specific tag, or as we'll see a bit later, how you can use the Python API to update to a specific tag. But right now, let me show you how you can update to a specific type in a specific tag in the command prompt. So I'll go here and I'll just rescale this a bit so we see all the tag, all the change set. So I'll just randomly update to something earlier. So let's say that I want to update to the latest change set. So in our case, this is the tip keyword that we want to use. So what you could do is hd update and the name of the tag, so tip. So now you'll see that when I press enter in the node view, in the change set view here, you see that we've went back to the tip change set. So we'll just change once again, and I can also use, let's say I want to update to the latest beta, so hd update beta, and we see that we've now updated to the latest beta change set. So you can use tag to flag a specific change set that you want to update to this change set. So we'll see how we can use that, so that when we'll be starting nuke, we'll flag to which change set nuke needs to be to run. So how do you add other tags? So you can add as many tags as you want, and you can give any name you want. So let's say that here we want to create a new tag. So we'll just right click and put tag, and here we can specify the name of the tag. So let's say nuke, and if we go in the option here, the one important difference that we can specify with a tag is either we want to make it a local tag or a global tag. So for now, let's just start with a local tag. So we'll just click on that and click add and close. So you see now that we've added our nuke tag. So now we can just once again go back here in our nuke folder, Python hd that. So now if we want to, we could go from hg update tip, hg update tip, that. So we went to the latest change set, and then we can go back to our nuke tag, so hg update nuke, and as you can see, we went back to the specified tag. So that's for local tag. So let me show you the difference with a global tag. So we'll just update to our, let's do it here. So hg update tip. So we're at our latest change set. So now if I come here and specify a tag, and let's call this one stable, to specify what's the change set that is the most stable and that we want to use in production. So we'll add stable, but this one I will uncheck the local tag, and then we'll click add and we'll close this. And now you see that when I added this tag this table tag, it also did a commit telling that we have added a tag. And that's because a global tag needs to be shared. If you, let's say you're working with someone else who has an exact copy of the same repo, the tag need to be spread in all the clone of this repository. So a local tag will be just for yourself. And if someone has a copy of this repo on their computer, they won't see your local tag. But if you want a tag to be shared across all users sharing the same repo, you need to make sure that they all have this info, and this info will be shared by a commit in the repo. So by committing it, every user will have the same tag, and you'll be able to share them with all the users also. And another way to update to a specific change set is by using the hash number of each change set. So all the change set that happen in Mercurial has a unique kind of ID attached to it. So let's say I click here, I can right click, and you have copy hash. So the hash is unique to each change set. So now you could just copy this hash, go back in here, HG update, and then instead of using a tag name, you just use the hash that you've copied. And if you press enter, you see that Mercurial update also to this change set. So if you don't want to, if you're changing a lot of time the change set, let's say use in production, and you don't want to commit each time you change a tag, you could also use this unique hash that will be common to all the repo. So that's something that we'll be using with the Python API to specify which change set we want to use in production. So you can use tag, you can use hash. So that's kind of the difference. Local tag are unique and are just for the user. They're not spread and committed to the repo, so other user won't see them. So the benefit is that you don't have to commit each time you add or modify a tag. But the downside is that they won't be able to, other user won't be able to use those tags on their site. So it's really just for yourself. Global tag, the benefit is that they're shared across all users, so anyone can use them to update to the specific change set. But the downside is kind of, if you're modifying the tag from in the position of the tag a lot of time, it will make a commit each time you change the tag. So that's kind of a downside. It will generate a lot of commit. But also you can use, like I just showed you, the hash, which will be the same in all the clone repo of the other users. So you can use that also to start, let's say, new to a very specific change set. So that's exactly what we'll be doing next by using the Python API to tell you to update to a very specific change set when it opens itself. So just before taking a look at the Python API of Mercurial, let's take a look on how we can centralize our repo so that if other users want to work in the pipeline and share some code, they'll be able to do so. Because right now, if we just open Tortoise HG, everything has been pushed in our local nuke folder by the same user. So now what we'll do is we'll add a user on their own computer that will be able to contribute to the code. So first thing first, let's find a place where it will be accessible to all the computers. So I have this folder here. So that could be any network drive or maybe a cloud storage that is accessible to all the user. So we'll start by cloning this local repo to this centralized storage. So to clone a Mercurial repo, basically you have two choices. You either right click on the destination or the source. So we'll just right click here, and in the Tortoise menu, you have the ability to clone a repo. So we'll just select the clone submenu, and then it's just a matter of specifying the destination folder of your repo. So in this case, the source is okay because we've started from the source folder, and we just need to update the destination to our network folder. So I'll just click on browse, and here I have a shortcut to this folder, and click select folder, and then we'll let everything at default and just click on clone. So you'll see that if we go in our network folder, everything has been cloned exactly as it is in our home folder. So now if we right click here and go in HD Workbench, you'll see that we have the exact same change set that we have in our home folder. So now let's just go back in our local repo here, and let's just do a quick change in our code and push it to our local repo. So I'll just add a quick new message. So hello. So now if I open my local Mercurial, so HG Workbench from the local folder, go in my working directory, we see that we have our change set that we just added to our file. So I'll just do a quick commit. So modified menu.py, and I'll commit that to my repo. Then I'll close this, go here, open HG Workbench. So if we make sure to refresh everything, we see that we still didn't get this change set. So let me show you how to actually push change made in your local repo to the network repo. So going back here again, here we are in our local repo. And actually, let's open now the one side by side from the network. So HG Workbench here. So now we have two tabs for our repo. Python is the one that is our local folder, and repo is our network folder. So now we see that in the local we have our modify menu.py that we still don't have in our network folder. So now the difference from just working locally is you need to push your change set to the network drive. So how do we do that? So going back in our local repo, that's where those 4 buttons on the top are starting to get important. So we'll just start with those 2 on the right. So those 2 are the ones that will let you either detect what is going to be pushed to the network drive, or actually push the change to the network drive. So let's start with the one here that will just tell you, okay, what is different from the network drive that will be pushed if you do the push. So if we click here, we see that we have this message that is telling us that we need to configure the path for the repo so that the local repo knows where to compare the repo to the one we want to push. So to do that, we'll just click on OK. And here you see that it's asking us to browse for a path to give the repo where to look at. So we'll just click on browse and we'll select our network repo. So I'll click on repo here, select folder, and then we'll click on save, and we'll just click save. So we see now that we've added a path to our repo to look for a remote repo to push some change set. So now if we click once again on this 3rd button here, you see that Mercurial is telling us that we have one outgoing change set that is not yet pushed to the network drive. So we'll just click on cancel for now, and just to make sure that you really understand what's going on, we'll just do another quick change set. So we'll just change the text, hello world here, working directory. We'll just do a refresh. Then we'll just go back in our comment view here. So clicking on working directory, we see that we've modified our menu.py file once again. So we'll just do menu.py again and commit. So now going back in our detect outgoing change here, if we click here, we should have now those two change set that is marked as being ready to be pushed. So you can either now just click on push all, that will push those two change set to the network repo, or you could just click on this button here that is also going to push everything. So now if we push those two, so we had this message marking that it was pushed to the network repo. So now let's go in our network. So now we see that those two change set are already been pushed to our network, but you see that nothing has been updated. So when something is pushed to another repo, the change set will appear here, but you still need to manually update the repo if you want to update it to another change set. So now that we've pushed everything to the network drive, let's go on another user computer that would be the one that want to participate in the pipeline. So what we'll do now is the exact opposite of what we've just done. So instead of cloning from a local repo to the network drive, we'll take a copy of what's been saved in the network drive and clone to a local folder on this other computer. So here is the exact repo we just cloned on the network. So what we'll do now is clone it locally to this new user. So I'll just go in the home folder, the new home folder of this user, where I've made a Python folder just to make sure its name has the same name that we have on this other computer. So this folder here in Python. So going back here, we'll right click and we'll clone a repo. So the source now is going to be the network drive. So we'll browse and go to the repo folder on the network drive. We'll select that. And for the destination, we'll specify our Python folder in our new folder. So we'll just select Python, click select folder, and then we'll click clone to clone from the network drive to the local drive of this user. So now Tortoise HD opened itself and you see that we have the exact same, all the same change set that we've pushed to the network drive. And you see that since we just cloned it, it put itself to the latest change set of the repo. So we'll just close this for now and let's start to work on the repo from this user. So let's say that we want to edit menu.py. So we'll just open PyCharm and drag the file here. And let's just add a new menu entry. So just duplicate this and paste it here. And let's just call this, let's do a quick message here. And we'll just do a new message. So new dot message. Hello world, like that. So now if we just go here and start Tortoise HD and take a look at the working directory, we see that we've modified menu.py. So you also see that I've changed my author. So this is since I'm in another computer, the user is not the same. So I just added message in menu. That, and I click commit. So now you see that there's a new change set with this other user. So now if we click here, we see that we have one outgoing change set that is going to be pushed to the network repo. So now if we click push all, everything has been pushed. So now if we go on the other computer here and we open the local repo of this user. So we'll just go in Python here. So now if we check for incoming change here, we'll just click on this button. We see that from the network drive, there's one entry that we can pull to our local repo. So now we could do pull, and we see that locally we have taken the change set that was pushed to the network drive. So now if we want to take that and our pipeline locally, we just need to update here. And you should see that what has been pushed and the other computer will appear just here. So update. And if we go back in Python, we'll refresh itself, and you see now that we have this new message. So now now you see that both user can start to work on the same pipeline. So now here I could say, okay, I want to modify this to this new message. I just add some exclamation mark like that, go in our working directory, refresh, we've modified it once again. So now I could change again, then commit. And then just to show you, if I go on the other computer, I do a pull. You see that nothing happened, and that's because we haven't pushed anything here. So always make sure to push. So now we've pushed it to the network. And then if we go to the other computer, this one here, if we pull, we see that we have this change set here from the other user. So now you could start to work on different branch. So one user could be working on the beta while the other is working on a more stable branch. And at the end of the day, you can merge together in a single branch. So for instance, here, I would just make sure to update here, update to the latest change set. Again, I'll just go back to our menu here. I'll just duplicate this menu entry here. And let's say I want to push that in a beta branch. So I would just refresh here. And let's say I would change a branch here, open a new branch name, beta. Click OK. I could start it beta branch. Would commit that, create new branch like that. So this has been pushed here in the beta branch from this user. Let's just do another quick modification. Go back here, refresh, change again. We'll push that to the beta branch once again. Commit. And then if we check here, we have two change sets ready to be pushed. So we'll push all. So one of the more branch that you are intending to push involve the creation of a new branch. Do you want to create a new branch on the remote repository? Yes. So it just warned you that this was not existing on the destination repo. So now if we go back to the other computer and we pull everything, we should now have our new branch and beta. So now from here, I could continue to push everything in the stable, in the default branch. And then when ready, one of the two users could merge everything in the single branch. So that concludes our second part on the Mercurial training. So in the last video, what we'll be seeing is how we can use Mercurial in conjunction with something like Dropbox to share our repo with other users and specify which change set they should be using in production. And then we'll also see a more advanced setup on how you can use the Python API of Mercurial along with a database to specify the change set that the artist will be using in production. So take care, and I'll see you in the last video.